Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all the praises, the glory, the honor unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations and much love and respect to you, Akim, out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. This is your brother Hayan Apash coming at you with another lesson. And this lesson is going to be entitled DJ Trump is ushering in Revelations, the 17th chapter. Okay, and I'm talking about the 16th verse because he is increasing the hatred for Babylon amongst their EU and NATO allies. And this is a beautiful thing. You know, there's a saying that says, when you see your enemy making a mistake, don't correct him. Right? So we're watching Esau make all kind of mistakes, right? Which is also written in Isaiah the 19th chapter about Babylon. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Isaiah 19, okay? Because Babylon is making all kind of mistakes. This is okay, this is it. This is Isaiah 19 and 14. Matter of fact, I'll start at 13. It says, the princes of Zoan are become fools. The princes of Noph are deceived. They have also seduced Egypt, even they that are the stay of the tribes thereof. Yahweh hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. And this is what Babylon is doing under the leadership of Donald Trump. They're staggering in their vomit. They're making all kind of stupid mistakes, right? Which that whole attack at Iran thing and destroying their leader to create a new regime was a stupid mistake. But he's being controlled and manipulated rather by Bibi, okay, and the Amalekite handlers, you know, Kushner or whatnot, that are controlling him, which really are backed by the Rothschilds, okay, because they have, you know, their handlers that are in these positions of power, and they set up the leaders, okay, they set up the leaders, they blackmail the leaders, okay, and he's just the dummy that's going to be used to what they believe usher in their NWO, but ultimately the destruction of Babylon the Great. Okay, because it is written that the allies of him will come up against him. This is Daniel 7 and verse 20. It says, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, right? The 3 that fell, right, was the Spanish, the British, and the French, okay? And what arose from that? America, the 13 colonies, okay? And it says, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. So let's look at this word stout, okay? Stout, that Rob, which also goes into pride too. It says great captain chief, right? So he was acting like he's the chief over them, which he is, because America is more powerful. That's why they won't get into any alliance that they don't have veto power, which is fucking stupid, right? But that's the pride of Babylon. Okay, so he's basically flexing his muscles at his own enemies. I mean, at his own allies, which are quickly becoming his enemies. Let's read Revelations 17. Matter of fact, before we even read that, let's play this video that I had queued up, and then we'll read that.
US President Donald Trump has directly challenged the United Kingdom, daring it to secure oil from the Strait of Hormuz on its own, in a sharp escalation of rhetoric amid the ongoing Iran conflict. Trump's remarks come as divisions widen within Western allies over Washington's military campaign against Tehran.
All of those countries that can't get jet fuel because of the Strait of Hormuz, like the United Kingdom, build up some delayed courage. Go to the Strait and just take it. You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore. Iran has been essentially decimated. Go get your own oil.
Trump's comments underscore a deepening rift across the transatlantic alliance. European powers are increasingly resisting involvement in the conflict. Spain has denied US military access, while Italy has blocked the use of key air bases, exposing fractures in what was once a unified Western front. The pressure is now being reinforced from within the Pentagon. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has questioned the strength of the NATO alliance and singled out Britain, calling on the Royal Navy to step up in reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
Last time I checked, there was supposed to be a big bad Royal Navy that could be prepared to do things like that as well. So he's pointing out, and as far as NATO is concerned, that's a decision that'll be left to the president, but I'll just say a lot has been laid bare. A lot has been shown to the world about what our allies would be willing to do for the United States of America when we undertake an effort of this scope on behalf of the free world. These are missiles that don't even range the United States of America. You don't have much of an alliance if you have countries that are not willing to stand with you when you need them. He's simply pointing that out, and ultimately it'll be his decision of what that looks like.
In London, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has drawn a firm line, rejecting any direct military role in the war, even as tensions in the Strait of Hormuz threaten global energy supplies.
That I reiterate where I stand and where this government stands. Because this is not our war, and we are not going to be dragged into it. Yes, of course, we will defend British lives and British interests in the region, and we'll stand by our allies in the Gulf region. But we're not going to get dragged in.
The United States' Iran campaign is now triggering visible fractures within the Western alliance, with European nations opting for caution over confrontation. As Washington signals a reduced willingness to act as the world's security guarantor, the message from Trump is clear. America's allies may now be expected to fight and secure resources on their own.
So this devil, he caused the problem, right? He's the one that caused the problem, and he's telling them, well, you're on your own. You figure out how to get your oil. And you can see that oil prices are skyrocketing all around the world, okay? Even here, you know, the oil has went up at least 30% since that time. So, you know, people are struggling, man. You know, even brothers are feeling it. But, you know, this is why you have to use wisdom when you're navigating through these times. Understanding. The scriptures say that the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. First of all, you know, attaching yourself and doing the right thing by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. But also, you know, doing the necessary things that you need to do to be able to sustain yourself in the times to come. Because it's gonna get worse before it gets worse. Okay? So let me get this. This is Matthew 12, verse 25. Because we know once the dollar crashes, that's it. We're just gonna have to completely rely on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. But before that, you're gonna, you have to, you still have to rely on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. But you also have to be able to pay your bills and do what you got to do until that time comes. Okay, this is Matthew's 12 and 25. You know what? I'll read it in the NLT. I usually just do the KJV, but let's do the NLT this time. It says, Yahweh Shai knew their thoughts and replied, any kingdom divided by civil war is doomed, right? And basically, this is, it's not civil in the fact that they're in the same city, but they're of the same kingdom. They're of the kingdom of the Edomites. I'm talking about France, Britain, Spain. That's all the kingdom of the Edomites, all them EU and NATO countries. The original ones of them are of the Edomite kingdom. Right? They have some other people in there like Japan and things of that nature. But the original 7 heads and 10 horns were Edomite countries, were all so-called white Edomite countries. So that's all of the same kingdom. But now there's infighting, okay, showing you that this kingdom is not going to stand. These Edomites are going down, okay? It says, any kingdom divided by civil war is doomed. A town or family splintered by feuding will fall apart. And this is a family. That's a family of the Edomites, okay? And they're falling apart by feuding, okay? All right? So they're done, okay? They're done. And it's going to lead to Revelations, the 17th chapter. Okay, this is Revelation 17 and 16. That's why I said Donald Trump is ushering in Revelations, the 17th chapter and 16th verse. It says, verse 15, it says, and he saith unto me, the water which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and they and shall make her desolate and naked. Okay, so the whore is who? Is America, that sitteth upon many waters. Okay, with many peoples. That's why it's known as what? The waters are peoples. That represents what? The many different tongues and nations and the melting pot that America is. Okay, let me read verse 16 again. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, right, meaning their allies, okay, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. That's going into what? All the scriptures dealing with the nuclear destruction. Revelation, the 18th chapter. Okay, matter of fact, which is the next chapter. Because this is what is going to lead to Revelation, the 18th chapter. Okay, so Revelation 18 and verse, I'll start at verse, let's start at verse 2. It says, and he cried with mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and a hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird, meaning all those desert creatures are going to live there in Babylon. Okay, once the fire dies down, it's going to become a desert, and those desert creatures are going to be there. Okay, for all nations have drunk of the wine of her wrath, the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Why? Because it's a consumer-based society. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues, for her sins have reached unto heaven. And what's the main plague that is going to receive? The nuclear destruction. Okay? For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquity. Okay? Her iniquities, excuse me. Let's go to Jeremiah. This is Jeremiah 49. And I'll jump to verse 20. It says, therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Right? This is speaking about specifically Babylon the Great, although it's saying Edom, is speaking about specifically the Babylon the Great's destruction. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Okay, so meaning, what does it mean to make their habitation desolate? It means that they will be completely destroyed right along with the least of the flock, which are the small hats, which drew them out to war. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Where? Out to where? Out to war. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And now everyone is turning against them. And that's going to lead to eventually everyone shooting nuclear missiles on America. Yes. Okay, it's too difficult to enter into America that, just to, bring your Navy and the Air Force. There's such a long travel over the water. It's much easier to just press the button. And that's what they're going to end up doing. Okay, starting with Russia. All right. So it's beautiful, man, because the pride of Esau, right, is deceiving him, right? And Donald Trump is a perfect representation of an Edomite. Okay, the spirit of Esau, the pride of Esau, the hubris, the unreasonableness of an Edomite. Beautiful, man. And I would, oh man, I'm so glad he has become the president. We did not want to see Kamala Harris in there. Okay, so Esau could turn and say, "Oh, it's because there's a black woman, a woman in there, a black woman." I didn't want it to be a woman. I didn't want it to be East Indian. I didn't want it to be nobody else but a red-blooded, pure-hearted Edomite, man. This is beautiful, man. Okay, let's read Obadiah real quick. This is Obadiah 1 and verse 2. It says, "Behold, I have made thee." Matter of fact, let's start at verse 1. It says, "The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom," right? The Edomites, which are ruling this world. "We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised." And Esau's constantly being exposed day in and day out, even on this TikTok app. TikTok is a big thorn in this side, by the way. YouTube, with the prophets, they're getting exposed every second, more and more. Okay, so they're becoming despised amongst the nations. Even Moab and Ammon are speaking against Esau now. "The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart." Well, look at these skyscrapers. That's an Edomite thing. That's not a Hamite thing. That's an Edomite thing. Okay, it's not an Assyrian thing. That's Esau, the so-called white man. These high habitations, these skyscrapers, these tall buildings, that represents his pride, and it also reminds him of the caves when he used to dwell in. Okay, "that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as an eagle," and Trump looks like an eagle, "and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh." Hey man, they were being brought down from the time they tried to go up into outer space and set up their satellite system, man. Okay? If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? Right, because a thief is not going to steal everything. He'll steal the TV. He'll steal certain things, but he's not going to leave with the couch, right? How are you destroyed? How are you completely cut off? Because the Most High is going to take everything from you. That's why. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. Yeah, your allies. They're deceiving you, because eventually they're going to turn on you and prevail against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Woo! Hey, man. This is beautiful, man. "Shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mouth of Esau?" And that's what's happening. He doesn't even know what to do. Okay? Trump doesn't even know what to do at this particular point. Which, like I said, the elites are really playing, they're controlling things behind the scenes. All right? So this is a beautiful thing. This is the collapse of our enemies. We should be in good spirits in these times, man. With that, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And I'll say, Shalom.